So, Richard, you're an NBA coach. You're 30-13. The general manager calls you in the office and says, "Thank you very much, sir. Your services are no longer required." What the hell happened to Adrian Griffin in 43 games?
I know you figured you'd call me into the office to thank me, but apparently that's not what happened. Well, I will say the Athletic, my employer, had really good reporting on that. It was a really good reporter there, Eric Neem.
By the way, you have to pay for the Athletic. Eh?
So. You do. Listen, that is not cheap. I appreciate anybody who subscribed me. Thank you. It seemed like there were a lot of internal dissension, John, like on that team, like Lillard, Damian Lillard, as great a player as he is, hadn't really been integrated great into that grouping. Players seem to be complaining behind the scenes in terms of like people didn't know their roles. There were a couple games, I guess, late before Griffin was fired where the management didn't particularly like just how things looked. And then you just wonder, like, this is where owners are going to be owners. Like maybe the owner got wind of like, we can get a Doc Rivers, right? Like this established famous coach, and you take your shot. But I feel awful for Adrian Griffin, who was, worked for the Raptors for a long time. Like if it's supposed to be about like merit, and if it's supposed to be about record, the guy's 30-13, right? I mean, like literally, I think I saw the stat. I think he either had the best or second best record all time of a coach being fired by
David Blatt. And
David Blatt got run out of town because LeBron was like, this ain't working. So I feel horrible for the guy because you wonder if he can get another job. Because in some ways,
the players got to the owner. That's what happened in Milwaukee.
Or some players did, I think, unquestionably.
Well, yeah. Some players who didn't like the coach.
Yeah. And you wonder if John, I mean, I don't obviously know this, but I feel like a move like that cannot happen without the ownership or the GM talking to Giannis. Like your best player.
Okay, but the owner or GM, they can fire a guy who's 30-13.
Yeah, I mean, there's
no way.
If they end up winning the NBA title, then people are going to say the GM and the owners are geniuses. If they flame out, it'll be the exact opposite.
But with this roster, the expectation was that, they were supposed to be at the top of the heap in the East. That was part of the problem, was that, and they weren't. But when you look at, what Nick has done in Philadelphia and what the Celtics seem to do every year, where did the Bucks fit into the East? And that became that's really the worry.
Yeah,
for everything else.
I would say for them, John, just based on expectations and based on talent, if they don't make the conference final, it's a failed year. Maybe some would say you got to make the finals, but I think the Celtics are great. And I think if like the Celtics beat the Bucks in the conference finals, if you're a Bucks fan, you have to tip your hat. But that's the standard. They're essentially, their charter is they have to be one of the 4 best teams in basketball this year. And that'll be what they're judged on. But based on record, Adrian Griffin was leading, heading that way. Like they do have a top record in the conference. So I think Bob is onto it. I just think that move would never have happened unless some players must have talked to either the general manager or ownership, because I cannot see a move like that happening without the players.
Agreed, 100%.
Sort of demanding it. Like it's just, there's no way that would have happened.